Hey guys, welcome to another episode of my YouTube channel where I'm going to talk about why talk therapy doesn't work. Now, I know from that title you may all be going, what do you mean, Em? Of course talk therapy works. Aren't we all trying to bring more awareness to mental health and helping people's mental well-being and all this mindfulness talk and all of these things around mental health? Isn't that what we're trying to be promoting, is the importance of therapy? Now, let me explain why I said talk therapy doesn't work. So early on in my journey, I actually started therapy when I was really young. 16 years old is when I actually started going to therapy after one suicide attempt at 15, another suicide attempt at 16. I learned really early on the importance of mental health and mental disease. And so I had been to psychiatrists, I had been to therapists that put me on all sorts of antidepressants. I think I've probably tried every single antidepressant there was. And for that stage in my life, therapy was very, very, very helpful. It helped me to understand certain things about myself. It helped me get to a place where I understood that my emotions are okay and talking about things are okay. But talk therapy, in my opinion, will only get you to a certain point. Now, later on in my life, because I didn't learn about patterns, about generational patterns, because I didn't learn about what the actual roots were, what was actually causing me to feel depressed, what was causing me to feel anxious, what was causing me to feel like I didn't fit in or something was wrong with me, what was causing my addictive behaviors, because I didn't actually dig down to the root of that, the behaviors stayed the same. So even though I went into what everyone would call the life that you're supposed to be leading, I got married, we had kids, I had a good job, like I did all the things on the outside that everybody said you were supposed to do. In fact, I was like, I am not gonna be that messed up person that everybody said I was. I'm gonna live this life and I'm gonna do a good job and I'm not gonna be a screw up like everyone thought I was gonna be. And so I did that. I did that for 10 years. The only problem was I was an addict those full 10 years because there was something deeper inside of me. There was something brewing. There was something in me that knew this normal life is not for me. I am meant for more. What am I doing in this life? And why am I not so happy? Why am I miserable? Why do I have to numb myself with pain pills all day, every day, just so I can function in a life that I'm supposed to be happy in, but I'm not? And that is because even though I had done all that therapy early on in my life, as I said, it didn't actually get to the roots of what was really going on. And so then came the first phase of my own personal transformation and spiritual awakening when I stumbled upon a book called You Are the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I started meditating, and that opened a whole world of spirituality and self-help and personal development, a world that I never knew existed before that. I knew I had always been connected some way, somehow spiritually, but I never had a framework for it. And so that opened this door to a framework of everything that resonated. It felt like, wow, yeah, this is the missing piece that I've really been missing my whole life. This connection to who I really am on the inside. This is what I've been missing. And so for the next couple years, I dove deep into that rabbit hole of personal development, of self-help, of spirituality, spiritual awakening, and I made profound shifts in my life. But it really wasn't until phase 2 when I learned about breath work and I learned about our root, when I learned about my sacral, when I learned about the default self and how that default self is formed in the first 7 years. That is when my mind really was expanded, and I clearly understood why talking about your problems can only get you to a certain point. Because when you're talking about your problems, you're only staying up in the mind. But the most important part of lasting change and transformation is to also work within the body. And that's when I learned about breath work, and that's when I learned about all of this stored and stuck trauma that was actually being stored in my body. I also learned that the first 7 years of my life, I was being programmed with my own identity by the people around me. So everything that they told me became hardwired patterns and programs, beliefs and behaviors, literally in my brain. It became the identity of who Emily was. Emily was insecure. Emily had no confidence. Emily had no self-love. Emily was a screw up. Emily did things wrong. Emily couldn't handle her life. I actually believed that I couldn't handle my life without a man taking care of me. I actually believed that because all evidence proved to me that I couldn't so far. Because as I said, the talk therapy had helped me feel better a little bit, but it didn't actually get to the root, which was, and ultimately for most people, is feeling unworthy, of not feeling good enough, of not embracing every single part of who I am and loving every single part of who I am, actually truly falling in love with myself. And along with that, as I said, becoming really clear on who that default self was, and then being able to release it, not just from my mind, not just intellectually, not just through meditation or self-help or spirituality, but actually engaging the body in a somatic process, actually engaging that energy and that trauma that was stuffed in my body, that had been suppressed for so long, actually engaging it and actually allowing my body to release a lot of these things that I had held on to, that we all do, because none of us release emotion after we've had a stressful experience. So can you imagine your entire life, you've never had the opportunity to actually feel safe and relaxed enough that your body can actually release a lot. Your body actually knows how to release a lot of this stuff. It's actually the mind that gets in the way. The mind is the problem when it comes to these somatic releases, allowing our body to move out this trauma. It's literally stuck in the cells of our being. And if we're stuck up in our mind and we're stuck up just in meditation and we're not engaging the body, we're only going to be able to go to a certain point. So this is why breath work was such an important aspect for me, because it helped me engage both. So first phase, I always look at talk therapy as like the really surface level. Like that's the entry point where people want to actually start making changes in their life, where they realize like, oh shit, maybe like I need to take care of this depression, or maybe I need to take care of this anxiety, or maybe there's shit in there that I've been too afraid to think about or talk about. Maybe there's stuff in there that I actually need to get out. Maybe all of these things on the outside are actually just stemming from stuff that's going on the inside. So that's sort of like the surface level, which I highly recommend. I highly recommend people start at that first level and they go to talk therapy. But again, that's only going to keep you at a certain plateau. I think the next step is some sort of self-help journey. Understanding your mindset, the importance of your mindset, understanding subconscious beliefs, understanding certain behaviors that you do every single day that you're super unconscious of. That's like level 2. That's how you start to really see changes and impacts in your life, is when you start working within the mind. Level 3, some kind of spiritual awakening, whatever that looks like for you. For me, it was a connection to source, what I call God, and having specific rituals that I do that I can connect with that, but it's different for everybody. I don't pretend to have to force anything upon anybody, but just that you do have some sort of spiritual connection, some sort of spiritual awakening. And then the next phase is the body work, is really working within the body and allowing your body to release stored and stuck emotions, allowing that to happen when it happens in the moment, instead of continuing to shove stuff down, but really allowing your body to process all of the things that you've been holding on to. And that, for me, like I said, was really phase 2. That was when it became a full integration. My spiritual practice actually became a full integration into my everyday life when I started working within my body and developing a relationship with my body, because we're all so cut off from our bodies. Our bodies just have become so numb. We've become so detached. We're stuck up here all day, every day. And we're terrified to actually drop down in and feel what it feels like to be in our body. I know for me, as a former addict my entire life, I was doing everything I can to not feel into my body because it was so uncomfortable, because I had so much stuff trapped in there and locked in there, that when I finally allowed myself to be in a space where I could relax enough and let my body do what it knows how to do, that it does all on its own now. It knows how to process these things, but when I let it do what it knew how to do, I could release these things and then fully integrate all of the spiritual practices and all the spiritual knowledge that I knew, and the mindset stuff and the therapy stuff. It was a full integration and application of all of those levels, so that my every single day life, I was experiencing freedom. I was experiencing joy. I was experiencing authentic relationships. I was experiencing authentic relationship with myself. And for the first time, true self-love. For the first time, feeling that within my body, feeling every single moment, not escaping the body, but fully into my body. And then once I took it a step further with breath work, I actually learned how to access certain chemicals within me so that I never needed to be an addict again, because I had my own pharmacy within me. I could use my breath in certain ways to reach these elevated states, to reach altered states of consciousness, to go and connect spiritually. I could use my breath to do that, to have psychedelic-like experiences, and I didn't need to take anything outside of me. I could do it with my very own breath. So not only does breath work help you release all of that stored and stuck emotions, it takes you to the next level, baby. It takes you up there to connect and have experiences that will blow your freaking mind. I assure you, you will never be the same again. And the best part is, you can also use your breath to then take that experience and integrate it back into your everyday life. So, talk therapy works at level 1, but it will only take you to a certain place in your life. You must keep going. You must keep ascending if you want to create true lasting change. If you want help with that, I have an online program, a 9-month intensive that works specifically with women. So click on the link below, fill out the application. Let's get on the phone and chat and talk about how this intensive can help you not only learn breath work, but learn the power of integration and application in your everyday life so that you are experiencing joy and personal freedom in your every waking day. Until next time, I love you all.